Hello, everyone. I'm Bill Ritter, Channel 7 Eyewitness News, WABC TV, and welcome once again to the Countdown. We have lots of new developments tonight in the race for New York governor, but we begin with some breaking developments about a former governor, talking about Andrew Cuomo, because a criminal sex crime charge has been filed today against him, accused of forcibly touching a staffer under her shirt at the governor's mansion in Albany. Happened in December. Mr. Cuomo's attorney out with the statement moments ago. Our Josh Eininger is in the newsroom. Before you get to it, Josh, I know you have a lot to get to, but he's going to be due in court next month to answer this charge.
Yeah, the former governor of the state of New York, three-term Andrew Cuomo, larger than life for so many years, will be fingerprinted and photographed and appear in court now on November 17th to face this misdemeanor charge of forcible touching. We're going to get to the actual charge against him and the criminal complaint in just a second. But first, the newest news, of course, is a statement, as you said, Bill, from the Cuomo attorney, Ritter. This is what she had to say just a few minutes ago. Governor Cuomo has never assaulted anyone, and the sheriff of Albany County, his motives here are patently improper. Sheriff Apple didn't even tell the district attorney what he was doing, but Apple's behavior is no surprise given his August press conference where he essentially pronounced the governor guilty before doing an investigation, and his office leaked grand jury information. She continued, as you see there on the screen, this is not professional law enforcement, this is politics, a very hard-nosed response back from Cuomo's attorney. This is the criminal complaint, though, that was filed by the Albany County Sheriff's Office late this afternoon. It says that Cuomo knowingly and intentionally committed this Class A misdemeanor, forcible touching, at the governor's mansion, and specifically, they say, on December 7th, 2020, between 3:51 and 4:07 p.m. Now, it's very specific timing, followed by very graphic allegations that he reached under the blouse of an assistant and groped her against her will. The timing of this accusation does seem to match the account of Brittany Commisso, who was at the time an assistant to Cuomo and gave an interview a day back in August, just the day before the governor resigned. Here's what she had to say.
What he did to me was a crime. He broke the law. People don't understand that this is the governor of the state of New York. There are troopers that are outside of the mansion, and there are some mansion staff. Those troopers that are there, they are not there to protect me. They are there to protect him.
Now, on the scale of sex crimes, of course, forcible touching is very serious. This is an alleged assault. But on the scale of sex crimes, this is a misdemeanor, not a felony. And Cuomo's lawyer had already suggested that the accusations did not match up with official logs of the former governor's comings and goings around the time in question. But is that an issue when you're investigating an alleged sex crime? This afternoon, the former NYPD chief of detectives, ABC News contributor Bob Boyce, he has investigated quite a few of these cases, and he explained what this charge means, and he answered that question of the timeline difference.
She's unsure of the date it happened. She's in and around there in November and December of 2020. So she's fairly close. I mean, no one writes this stuff down for the most part. So that's his only defense. That's not enough. She's said this, and she seems to be credible. Her narratives that she's given is the same over and over and over again. So that's where they're going with this right now. It's a credible narrative, and they'll go forward with that.
Now, as a misdemeanor, forcible touching in the state of New York carries a maximum penalty of a year in jail. But frequently first-time offenders, which Cuomo would be, avoid jail time and they serve probation. Cuomo has been laying low since resigning 2 months ago, and it took a couple of hours for a statement from him or his lawyer, and we heard that statement from his attorney that we read at the top there. Bill?
Yeah, you know, we didn't expect this to happen today. It's only been 2 months since he resigned, and 2 months and a couple of weeks since the investigation by the Attorney General's office. You know, Boyce's statement is kind of interesting. You know, he says, well, she's off on some of her dates, but you know, she's in the ballpark, and that, you know, he knows what he's talking about. As you said, he's investigated several cases like this. In the end, Josh, it is a he said, she said situation.
Right, but you know, about that, Boyce also mentioned that, you know, the investigative process is much more than just the he said, the she said, and the comings and goings. It's also what did the alleged victim say and to whom and when in contemporaneous conversations or emails or whatever. And so, one would imagine that a properly conducted investigation would have looked at all that evidence and gathered enough evidence to support this charge, so that is more than just a he said, she said. I mean, think about it, Bill. You're charging the former governor. You're charging Andrew Cuomo with a sex crime, misdemeanor or not. This is a big deal. You would think that they're going to do a proper investigation and have the evidence that they would need to the burden of proof to convict. But of course, we'll see. Stranger things have happened.
Stranger things have happened, and indeed, and the question is, of course, and we don't know this, we're not lawyers, but will the prosecutors try to bring in the whole investigative report from the Attorney General to say, hey, these guys have a history of this kind of stuff? And of course, Mr. Cuomo's lawyer, as we saw in that strongly worded comment that you response that you read, they have always said we didn't do anything, and this is just a political kind of witch hunt.
Exactly, but the AG report, which has its it has its issues, of course. Tish James, the AG, is running for governor and has her own political aspirations. There's been all of that back and forth and political acrimony involved there. But Boyce also mentioned that a lot of these claims were corroborated in that AG's report. So, his take on this was that this is going to be a hard thing for Cuomo to wiggle out of. And, of course, he is presumed innocent and he will mount a full defense and do everything that you would expect he and his attorneys will do. But Boyce looked at this as a difficult thing for Cuomo to sort of defend.
Just want to get a repeat of something you said earlier, and we just want to drive it home to our viewers. The normal first offense kind of thing for this kind of crime is what?
Well, so the penal code. I looked this up. The penal code has a maximum of a year in jail, but look, it's a misdemeanor charge. It is on the scale of sex crimes. It's not considered a terribly severe one. And first-time offenders frequently will get probation or something like that. It won't necessarily go to jail for something like this. And so, it is hard sitting here, and I'm not a lawyer or a law enforcement officer, so take that with a grain of salt. But it is hard sitting here right now to expect Andrew Cuomo sees jail time because of something like this. But again. It's a long ride. Stranger things have happened.
No, it seems like a long shot. One more thing, just to point out the obvious. Last December is when the allegation, she says, had happened, and that was still in the middle of the pandemic, and just right after his book came out. Just pointing that out in terms of the dates. Josh, thanks for joining us on the Countdown.
You bet. Good to be with you.
All right. Thank you. And Josh mentioned the woman who led that investigation, and it's no small degree of political irony that the person who led the state investigation into sexual harassment allegations against Mr. Cuomo, Attorney General Tish James, is about to announce a run for governor. One of the people she will be facing, Kathy Hochul, who replaced Mr. Cuomo after the bombshell James report. Also vying for the spot, New York City public advocate Jumaane Williams, and still debating a run, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio. It's a small town, big city almost, isn't it? Here's political reporter Dave Evans.
This afternoon on Long Island, Governor Hochul signed some of the toughest new gun laws we've seen in years. But the undercurrent here, what's shaping up to be a major political event. Hochul versus Attorney General Tish James, who's told friends and colleagues she's running. A spokesperson would only say James has made a decision on the governor's race and will be announcing it in the coming days.
I know how to do this. I say bring it on.
Late today, Hochul said she's not worried about James and says she's focused on her job. But Hochul has been running at a breakneck pace since taking over August 24th.
So you're going to continue to see me out. This is not a strategy to convince anybody of anything. This is who I am, and this is how I govern.
Tish James will be a formidable opponent. She's earned high praise for forcing the NRA into bankruptcy, for prosecuting former President Trump, and for launching an investigation into Governor Cuomo's conduct that forced him from office.
And I am inspired by all the brave women who came forward. But more importantly, I believe them.
Public advocate Jumaane Williams is also running, and time may be running out for the mayor, who today said he won't be pushed.
My decisions are based on my desire to serve the people of this city, this state, in every way I can. I'm going to be moving on my own timeline, my own way.
The focus right now, of course, is on the mayor's race. That election is set for this Tuesday, but already the governor's race is heating up. That vote is set for June, a primary next year, and it's shaping up to be one of the biggest races we've seen in New York in years. In Westbury, Dave Evans, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
Should be very interesting. And of course, Eyewitness News will be with it all the way to next year's election. A reminder, Election Day is coming up this year, November 2nd. We're watching the New York City mayor's race, of course, very closely. And you can still catch it on Tuesday's debate. If you didn't watch on Tuesday, we had it right here at the WABC studios. It's on our website and all of our apps. Eyewitness News is your place, of course, for election night as well. We'll have updates throughout the evening on Channel 7, plus expanded coverage of the results and reaction on our website, followed by Eyewitness News at 11, as I said. That's also where you can get, by the way, the latest political news anytime. I'm Bill Ritter, and from all of us here at WABC TV, we wish you health and peace, and let's take care of each other.